There's a young man who came from America and who stayed in the upper hamlet. One day he was given the exercise of writing down the positive elements, the beautiful characteristics of his mother. Other people, including monks, was also given the assignment to practice walking meditation, sitting meditation, mindful breathing, and use a piece of paper and list all the positive elements of his mother. The upper hamlet is for the residence for monks and laymen. That is why I use the word he. And Risha did not believe that he can write down more than 3 lines. My father, yes, I can. He has many qualities. But my mother, I don't think that there are so many qualities. But since the assignment has been given, he has to practice like others. But after a few days, he was very surprised to see that the list is very long. He was able to discover many qualities of his mother. I think his mother at one time made him suffer somehow. And that kind of suffering prevented him to see all the other qualities of his mother. When you see one tree in the garden dying, you think that every tree in the garden are dying also, which is not true. So we are very often caught by that impression. When there is something happen that not to our liking, we have the tendency to disregard, regard the rest. And that is not very wise. We have to be objective. We have to touch all aspects of the reality and not to allow one aspect of the reality to prevent us to see the whole thing. So supported by the Sangha, he was doing the exercise. And he discovered so many wonderful qualities of his mother. And after that, he wrote his mother. That is part of the assignment. He wrote a very sweet letter. And in the letter, he said he's very proud to have a mother like her. His wife, who lives in Washington, D.C., reported to her that when his mother received that letter, she was so moved. Her son had never talked to her in that kind of language. Her son has never acknowledged her in that way. And she found out a new son in him, very sweet, very understanding, very loving. Of course, she has given birth to her son, but this is a new son, born from the Dharma, with much more understanding and love. She has a new son because her son has a new mother, and his mother is born from deep looking. Because he practiced deep looking, that is why her true mother began to reveal herself to him. And he was really proud of his mother. And that letter he wrote was very healing for himself and for his mother. His wife said that the lady, after having read the letter, cried a lot. And she said that she regretted that her own mother is no longer alive. She would like to write a letter like that to her own mother. But unfortunately, her mother had passed away. That is why she cannot write a letter like that. But in the upper Hamlet, which I was still practicing, when he heard the news about his mother from his wife, he wrote her another letter. He said, "Mommy, don't think that my grandma no longer exists. She is still alive in you. And she is still alive in me. I can touch my grandma at any time I want. It is like I can touch my mommy at any time I want, because my grandma is still alive in me, and my mother is still alive in me. I am a continuation of my grandma. So write the letter anyway. My grandma will receive it and read it right away. You even don't have to post it." And this is the insight he got from the teaching and from the practice. It corresponds to the deep teaching of the Buddha. And all of us have to practice like that too. That our presence here means the presence of all our ancestors. All our ancestors are still alive in us. And every time we produce a smile, all generations of ancestors smile with us. And not only that, our children and many generations to come are already in us. And every time we can produce a smile, our children and their children are smiling at the same time with us. You practice not for yourself. You practice for everyone. And the stream of life continues. And he was right, Richard. He said, "Mommy, please write the letter anyway. She is still alive in you and in me." And her mother spent time writing the letter. And that letter is very healing to her also. Because in the past, when her mother was still alive, she did not know the art of mindful living. So they made mistakes on both sides, and they created suffering to each other. And she regretted later. And that became a kind of obstacle for her happiness. And now the obstacle is removed. And that is why the letter she was writing to her mother is a very healing letter also. And she cried during the writing. And these tears are tears of happiness. if you have made a mistake, if you have made your beloved one suffer in the past, and if she is no longer there, and if he is no longer there, don't be frustrated. You can still do something. Because the wound is still in you, waiting to be healed. And the person whom you think that have been passed away, she is still alive in you. You can make her smile. You can make him smile. Suppose when your grandma was alive, out of forgetfulness, you had said something that make her unhappy, and now you still regret. And then sit down, breathe in and out mindfully. Visualize your mother sitting in you, your grandma sitting in you, and tell her, Grandma, I am sorry. I will never say something like that again to you or to anyone I love. And if you are sincere, if you are concentrated, if you are utterly mindful, and then you see her smiling in you, and the wound will heal. Because the mistakes come from unskillfulness, the unskillfulness, the forgetfulness, which is in the mind. Everything comes from the mind, and everything can be transformed by the mind. That is the teaching of the Buddha. Tội tùng tâm khởi, tùng tâm sám. The mistake comes from the mind and can be removed and transformed by the mind. In the teaching, although we think that the past is already gone and the future is not yet there, but if we look deeply, the reality is more than that. The past is somehow still existing under the form of the present, because the present is made with a substance called past. The present is made of the past. That is why the past is still available to you. And in this teaching, you can very well go back to the past and repair the damage you have done in the past. Establishing yourself in the present firmly and touch the wound, touch the present moment deeply, you also touch the past, and you have the power to repair the past. That is a wonderful teaching, a wonderful practice. You don't have to bear the wounds forever. You know that every one of us can be unmindful at times, and we have made mistakes in the past. But that does not mean that we have to carry that complex of guilt all the time without being able to transform them. The past is still available. Touch the present deeply, and you can touch the past. And take care of the present properly. You can repair the past. Especially the practice of beginning anew. The practice of beginning anew is the practice of the mind. Once you have realized what happened in the past, and once you have been exposed to the truth, you are determined never to do it again, and then the wound will be healed. This is a very wonderful practice. A Vietnam War veteran in America, he told me this story. One day he saw many friends of his killed in an ambush. And he was so mad, was so hateful. He wanted to revenge. So he was setting another ambush in order to kill some of the people in the village where the battle had taken place. He put explosive into the sandwiches. And he left a whole bag of sandwich like that at the entrance of the village. And he hid himself in order to see what happened. And a number of children passed by and they saw the sandwich. They were very glad. So they shared the sandwich with each other. And after having eaten it, they began to cry and their sign that they are intoxicated. The movement of their bodies show that the poison have penetrated in the bloodstream. At that time, their parents came, and they did not know why. And they are trying to get a car in order to transport them into the hospital. But that is very far away from any hospital. And the GI knew that there is no hope. There was no hope. The children will die. And out of anger, out of the will to harm, to punish, he has made a terrible thing, killing 5 children. The time when he was released from the army and went home, he could not have any peace. Many years had passed, and he bare the wound within himself. Until that day, he came to a retreat offered to us by a Vietnam War veteran in Santa Barbara. The war veterans were encouraged to speak out of their suffering. It was very difficult for them to do so. There was only one person who had heard the story, his mother. And his mother said, "Don't suffer too much, my son. In a war, such things may happen." But that did not help him. Every time he find himself sitting in a room with a few children, he could not bear it. He had to run away from the room, run out of the room right away. And that had been more than 10 years that he suffered that way, until he came to the retreat. So one day, with the strong support of the Sangha, we had monks and nuns and other friends in the practice. There were psychotherapists in the retreat also. Psychotherapists who accompany the war veterans. And with the love and support of Sangha, he was able to tell the story with a group of about 9 people. Sometimes we had to sit and breathe for a long time, waiting for the veteran to tell us. And sometimes we waited for 1 hour, and the person wasn't able to say anything, just sit there and cry. After I have heard the story, I took him into my room for a private consultation. I said, dear friend, it's true that you have killed 5 children. But there is something you can do in order to repair that. You know that there are many children who are dying today. Not because of explosives, but because of other causes like lacking medicine, lacking food. And do you know that 40,000 children die every day because of the lack of nutrition and food? So why don't you do something in order to save the dying children today, and let yourself be caught only by the 5 children in the past? You have to begin anew. You have to use your life in order to do the opposite of what you have done in the past. You have to make a vow to receive the mindfulness trainings and make up your mind that from now on you will do your best to protect life, to protect children, and to save them from dying. And you can save 5 children, 10, 20, 100. And there are means that you can go to the world in order to do that. Why imprison yourself in the guilt? You can repair the past. So that was like unlocking the door for him. And he was transformed, and he followed my advices. And transformation took place after that. This is the practice of beginning anew. And the energy of the practice you get from the Sangha, you get from your determination to follow the right path. It's very powerful. It can wipe away the suffering in the past and transform the guilt within yourself.